Joe Michielli.
Thanks
so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a pleasure to have you. Okay, so how long have you been involved with Friesian horses?
With the Friesians, I think we're going on our 7th year.
Okay.
Kind of grew up with horses on and off my whole life. Had a grandfather in thoroughbreds. And then our family kind of got out of horses. My other grandfather also had, cow horses and stuff like that. But it wasn't until Kayla and I kind of started dating that we knew we both wanted to get back into horses. We both just really loved being around them. And then we started searching for what kind of discipline we wanted to stay focused with, if we wanted to go Western or if we wanted to look at, the English discipline. And we travel quite a bit, and we're in Europe quite a bit. And I think we were really drawn to the English discipline. And so we started looking at dressage, and then, what horses are best fit for that. And some of the best fit horses also probably aren't the best fit for your family.
Right.
And with us having 4 kiddos, we wanted a really good character, and character was super important, but also size. We wanted something that I didn't feel like I was on a big bear on a little bicycle, the tricycle at the circus kind of thing. And so for me, I was drawn to the Friesian because they're just absolutely gorgeous. And then with some research and kind of looking at the history of the Friesian, we kind of were immediately captivated by it, and just, I think one night, actually, I remember it because I was up looking at them, researching. She had fallen asleep, and I was laying in bed on my phone. And then the next morning I went to the office, and she had messaged me, "Hey, what about Friesians?" And I was like, actually, I was looking at them for 4 hours last night.
Funny you say that.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so we really both kind of dove into it. And I think we spent, I don't know, we're the kind of people that when we do something, we do it 150%.
Yeah.
There's no
go big or go home.
Yeah, definitely. And so we both really kind of started researching and trying to learn it. And it's a very difficult breed to learn all the ins and outs of. But I had to know about it before we would just go spend the money and start buying horses.
Right.
So we learned as much as we could. We even went to an inspection, and then we pulled the trigger and we bought one mare. She was in Maine. And then we were getting ready to ship her to Oregon, because we were in Oregon at the time. And there was a second little filly that I fell in love with. And I called the owner and said, "Hey, can I ship the one that's in Maine to you, and then put them on a truck together and kind of bring them to Oregon together?" And so we did that, and we didn't have no barn, no fencing. We bought horses before we put fencing up. It was kind of a little crazy. And then it was a mad dash I think we had maybe 2 weeks from the time we bought both of them to when they were actually going to be arriving in Oregon. And that time we built a small metal building that could put like 4 stalls in and store the hay, and we knew nothing. And it was a little overwhelming at first, but
and kind of fun.
Yeah, I think at first it's different, like having them at home, and then also being at a facility that maybe boards horses. So Kayla has grown up with horses. She barrel raced all through high school. She grew up in Florida, and so she had them, but they were always at a facility, and the facility did the caring for them every day, the feeding, the stables, all of that stuff. And when you're 10, 11, 12, 14, it's different than when you're an adult, and you've got to order the hay. You have to make sure that the grain's in the bin. You have to make sure that they're not getting sick, and now it's a whole new learning experience.
Yeah.
So it was a little terrifying, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't change it for anything. It's been awesome.
Talk to me about those different disciplines, Western versus, I think you said Eastern, correct?
English.
Yeah. What can you explain that
Yeah,
difference?
so the biggest difference is Western riding is done in a different type of saddle and a much different type of horse, for that matter.
Okay.
A lot of the quarter horses and the Appaloosas like you see here in Moscow.
Yeah, yeah.
The main club I think was based here. All of those are meant for more ranching lifestyle as far as moving cows and all of that type of stuff. So those disciplines, all the way from rough stock riding, so like bronc riding and bull riding,
Hmm.
all the way through, barrel racers and some of that type of riding. That's all considered Western riding, whereas English is that's your hunter jumpers. Um, so the horses that are out jumping the poles and
Got it. Got it.
dressage and a lot more of like carriage driving also for competitions. It's very common and popular in Europe. Um, that never really picked up here in the States. Obviously we had carriages. It was our only form of transportation, until the
Yeah.
early 1900s, right? So, but it was different there. Now they do it for fun and for competition, and
Hmm.
it's still very embedded into the culture throughout Europe, whereas here, it's not. So,
Yeah. How much of that is kind of the utility? I mean, the kind of the most maybe the most famous horses are the Anheuser-Busch Clydesdales.
yeah, so the Clydesdales obviously are, it's a driving team. And there's still actually some big driving teams. Those horses are bred for driving and pulling a carriage.
Right.
Friesians are as well, but Friesians, like historically, have really gone through a lot of changes. It's the oldest purebred breed out there.
Okay.
So the stud book. So in the Netherlands, you have the KFPS, which is the main stud book. That's like how you register the horse. Okay.
What's a stud book?
So the stud book is like the registry for the horses to go into. They keep track of all of the horses that are purebred Friesians. That's basically
Got it.
how else to explain it.
It's like a
That
government
makes
social
sense.
security system or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so that originated in the Netherlands because the Friesian horse is from the Netherlands, and so, but it's the oldest that's out there. Period of any registry for any breed of horse. But if you go back, medieval times, back to when they can actually trace some of the Friesians. Friesians originally were a war horse. They
Hmm.
were bred to be a war horse. They carried knights
Yeah.
in armor. They were bred that way. They weren't all black. Friesians up until the, I think, mid 1800s had many different colors, and then the stud book wanted to focus on making a black horse,
Hmm.
and so they've over the last 150 plus years have gotten rid of red and different types of colors inside of the registry, and now they're all black.
Why was that?
I don't really know the answer to that. I think there's the Dutch are very proud of the horse itself and the beauty behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that may have. I mean, who doesn't love a black horse?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It
A
is a
solid
very
black horse.
cool aesthetic.
So it's and I don't know. I don't know if there were other reasons behind that. I should know that.
It's an interesting move because a lot of this whole competition started in Europe. What's that migration been like to the U.S.?
Yeah, it's really difficult. In fact, so our discipline is obviously we're an English facility. We focus on dressage, and dressage here is it's very similar as it is in Europe, but there's also still a lot of differences. Like in America, Friesian horses, if you look at who the clientele is that it's buying the horse, they're not top level dressage riders. Most top level dressage riders in the States are buying warm blood horses.
Hmm.
They're so it is it's a changing time, I believe. I think the Friesian in America has had it's had some people that have been involved in dressage and been competitive, but onesie twosies. And in Europe, it's very common. In fact, I think we have a young lady behind us. Her name's Janneke. She works for us in the Netherlands. She's in town right now preparing for a big competition in an inspection. And she's one of the top youth riders in all of Europe. So for the world, for that matter, because Europe has all the best riders. Not all the best. I mean, we have some very good riders throughout the world, but even the U.S. riders to compete on the level, like on the Olympic level, they're all in Europe right now.
Right.
Because that's where the competitions are. We have a lot of issues with land. I mean, for us, we have to load up and travel 5 hours and just to go to a competition in Seattle, whereas in Europe, it's
everything's
in the
much
truck
closer.
And you can be there in 15 or 20 minutes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. How did when you were thinking about, okay, I want to get back into horses,
Mm-hmm.
what was the thought process behind Friesians? You've mentioned a little bit you didn't want it to be too small, and presumably you didn't want a Clydesdale that's going to be massive.
Yeah, we wanted versatility, not knowing really. I mean, Kayla obviously wanted to ride dressage. That was a big thing. But we also wanted something that we could do a little bit of everything with if we wanted to. But I also think character was super important. There are some other breeds that, like for example, behind me is Ilba. Okay, it's Ilba 506. He's a KFPS approved Friesian stallion. The only one here in the Pacific Northwest. There's one other in the entire West Coast. He's down in Southern California. But next to him is another stallion. Next to that stallion is a mare, and then mares. And, you know, we can walk mares by the boys. Sometimes they get a little riled up, but they're not crazy. I mean, we can pull Ilba out, take him down, put him on the cross ties, and not have the, like some breeds, some stallions, there's other breeds out there, and I don't want to say anything negative about other breeds because we all love the breed of horse that we're in, but some of them are hotter. Some of them are more to handle, and they just, so then you have more risk of things happening, you know?
Right.
And so for us, having kids and not really wanting to deal with that level of, not crazy, but difficulty at times was a factor. Yeah. I mean, the Friesian horse is extremely intelligent.
Okay.
And so, like, very intelligent. They're very honest. So they hold you accountable. So there's other breeds out there that you can make a mistake with and they'll completely forget about it. And the next day, it's not a big deal. But with the Friesian, it's different. You can't do that. They remember everything. And so if you're honest with them, they are honest with you. And I think just their general disposition. So between the size, the versatility, the sportability of the horse, the beauty, I mean, and then you add the character on top of it, it really was a no-brainer. I mean, we looked really hard at Dutch warm bloods as well. And those are a really, really good horse for dressage. Some of the top horses in the entire world are Dutch warm bloods, and Danish warm bloods. And I think that we were a little uncertain about it for beginners. Remember when we first got started, we bought babies and we grew them and raised them from the ground up. We weren't buying horses that were kind of been there and done that. A lot of people do that. We bought babies. Yeah. And so we had to learn as we were going. And it's crazy to think, you know, I think we have, I don't even know, don't ask me, over 50 or 60 around the world. But we started with 2. Yeah. And they were, you know, a year old each. So
that's got to be fun to, you know, you've built kind of an empire of Friesian horses.
Yeah, and we're definitely a fish out of water here in Moscow. It's, I mean, most people don't know we're here.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. When we were in Oregon, my phone was blowing up every single day for tours and, you know, to come see the horses. And we love it.
Yeah.
We love having people out, but it also can become distracting a little bit when it's always, you know, it's not a circus for us. Now we are a high-level top performance horse program, and we've really set goals and accomplished them, and we're still setting goals and reaching further and further and further. And so that was a little bit of why we wanted to come to a smaller area for us, is so we can stay a little more focused on what Kayla's goals are, what my goals are running our program as far as breeding and things like that are concerned. And I think it's been a really good transition. But yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more about their history. You mentioned they were originally war horses.
Yep.
Has there been any like anatomy shifts
Oh yeah.
to now?
Conformation wise, right? So conformation is kind of the form of the horse. War horses, they were big and kind of heavy boned and built for carrying. If you think you take a 200 plus pound man and then throw 100 pounds of armor
Plus
and all the
supplies
stuff,
and
all the stuff on them, and then they're going to go out, and we're talking the 15th, 16th century. So, nothing was light. Titanium wasn't around, right? So, you add all of that, and then the horse has to carry it for a long period of time, and then also be strong enough to then, now we're into battle, you know, and be able to get the person to safety, get out of trouble, or fight through it. And so after kind of the medieval times, the horse needed to have a purpose. And one of the beautiful things that we've found about the breed is we spent a lot of time in Europe now, a lot more than we've ever have. And when you look at the landscape and you see what there is, it's all fields. So the horse was put to work as a plow horse. So they started breeding the horse to be more, we use the term downhill, but think of like a dragster, big wheels in the back and small wheels in the front, meant for
more
power, more torque, and plowing fields all day. And the Friesian horse really changed a lot. And then it wasn't until probably 40 years ago, the stud book, they started importing horses to the States. In fact, the Leyendeckers in California, Frank Leyendecker is the first person to bring a Friesian horse into America. He helped design the container that horses actually fly around the world in partnership with a couple of airlines. And then they brought over their first. So Frank was a dairyman, and he grew up in the north of Holland in Friesland. And when he came to America, he wanted to have his Friesian horses and found a way to make it come together. But about that time, the breed started to change, because if you look at the economics of the horse itself, in the Netherlands, the Friesian business is a very big business. They export horses all around the world. So then you have to look at who's buying the horse and what is the purpose of the horse.
Right.
And the purpose of the horse has shifted because of modern transportation. We're not using them for driving horses anymore. And also in other regions throughout the world, driving's not popular like it is culturally in the Netherlands.
Right.
You go to Ebba and Janneke, who work for us. They're back here. Like I said, they're from the Netherlands, and they go to, it's called a boerenbal, and it's like a big Dutch traditional farmer's wedding, and they're all done up in attire, and they're driving in the seas, and they have the Friesian horses, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really neat to see that side of the culture, but it's so embedded into their history.
Right.
We don't have anything like that here with really any of the breeds we do in the Western world with cowboying and rodeoing and things like that. But for the Friesians, or for driving horses in general, whether here in the States, there's a lot of horses that go to South America, Mexico, China. I mean, really, Friesian horses are kind of in Australia. South Africa is also a big area where there's quite a few Friesian horses.
Interesting.
And but all of those regions don't utilize the horse for driving.
Yeah.
So they want a horse that is built for dressage. So you can't take, excuse me, you can't take a horse with a certain conformation designed for pulling a plow and then want it to go out and do movements that its body physically can't do. So they've had to change through very selective breeding and through the approval process of controlling the breeding that the stud book does. They've had to change the conformation of the horse. So like we have a mare, her name is Nika. and she's one of the top in the world. She has some of the best exterior or conformation.
Yeah.
You will see she's years ahead of what the goal for today is. And the goal for today is not the same for the breeding goal tomorrow or the following year or the following year after that. So it takes minor kind of tweaks along the way. Excuse me. Kai. Nay. Horses.
Yes.
But it takes minor tweaks along the way to then gradually shift. You remember growing up and seeing like the evolution chart,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows the evolution chart.
Yeah.
Well, there's kind of a Friesian evolution chart as well.
What's the peak Friesian, the best Friesian? Like if where's the end of the evolution? Do we know, or are we just kind of wandering off?
I think it's constant improvement. And that's one of the things that as a breeder, we really strive for. I just mentioned Nika,
mm-hmm.
and I struggle greatly to find a stallion to pair her with. She has flaws. She's not perfect. I don't think there is anything, that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing, nothing is ever perfect. But right now it's difficult to find a sire for offspring of hers that I actually don't go backwards with.
Yeah.
She's 5 or 6 or 8 years ahead of where the average Friesian is, or even farther than over the average. And the stallions the new stallions that are being approved are even behind her in what the goal is. So she's kind of a little bit of a freak of nature and out of her place, but it's good to have those as you're changing the stud book is changing the breeding goal every year to know what you're really trying to do. And then the way they evaluate the horse provides so much information to also make sure that they're making the changes for the right reasons, for the right movement, and some of those kinds of things.
What makes Nika such a great, why is she so great? I mean, you showed me her coat, and that was kind of the thing that struck me was just beautiful, glossy coat.
Yeah, so I'll break it down for you.
Great.
So the Friesian horse, where do I start? I have a book this thick.
Okay.
So I'll try to make it as simplified as possible. So when the foals are born, they're born into the V book. And that means that their sire is an approved stallion. Okay. And their mom is also in the stud book. So once that takes place, then they're into the V book. And there's some rules that could prevent that from happening.
Okay.
But that's kind of the gist of it. And then they can go every year. The horse is qualified to go to an inspection. So the inspection is done by the KFPS through their sister registries around the world. And the KFPS judges fly to South Africa, Australia. They'll be here in 2 weeks. And they judge the horses, and they're looking at the horse. And all of this is data. So to start, every time you breed this sire, it's producing offspring, and then all of that data goes into a database that they can see how is the sire producing. But when they go for inspection, they're looking at 5 basic things. So the first is the racial type of the horse. And racial type is everything from like the coat, the shape of the head. Is it a noble head, or does it have like a big Roman nose? Roman nose obviously is not ideal for the breed.
Right.
And what the picture of the Friesian they want to have is.
What's a noble head? Sorry.
Noble is Nika's head.
Okay.
And I, without, it's a little hard to explain, but Gertja, the mare I showed you a few minutes ago, she has a very big, boxy kind of head.
You want streamlined.
Yeah, and Nika's is very streamlined. refined bone that comes down off of her forehead. They look at the distance for the eyes, the shape of the eye, the shape of the ears, the tips of the ears if they're tipsy. They look at the head to neck connection where the neck comes up and connects here. And then they look at the mane. They also look at the feathers on the legs. Is there a lot of feathers? All of that goes into racial type.
Got it.
There's a few more things, but that's kind of the gist of it.
It's just the exterior, more or less.
No, because the next thing is conformation, and that's really the exterior. That's if you took the horse's frame and you drew a line at the front shoulder, a line at the rear, are they three equal parts? They look at things like the croup angle, which is a point on their hip bone down towards their hock. It's not at their hock. It's up from the hock. But they look at the back. Is the back weak? Is it roached like this, or is it nice and flat? They look at the loins. There's 27 points that they're looking at. Okay. And then they go into feet and legs. That's the third. And the feet and legs are the hooves toed out? Are they toed in? Are they straight? Are the legs dry? Meaning no swelling, no, genetic defects sometimes, like little bumps and little things
like
that
a mole.
they can, maybe more than a mole, but are they predisposed to arthritis? Do they have other things like that going on? So feet and legs are very important. Like the length of the foreleg, which comes off the shoulder and goes down to basically the front knee. They look at that. I mean, they look at the angles of the pastern. So the hoof comes like this, sits here, and then you have the little pastern that comes up. They look at the angle the way that sits. I mean, they're scrutinized.
Yeah. Wow.
And then they look at the way that the horse moves. They look at the walk. So how is the gait? Is it a good 4-beat tempo walk? Does the back foot step in front of the front foot's hoof print? Are they over tracking? And then they also look at the trot. And the trot is equally as important as the walk. The walk and the trot, actually, when they're scoring them, count for double points. So if you have a bad walk, it's not going to be good.
Not good.
Yeah. And the horses have to be relaxed to have the best walk, which is also part of the training that they have to go through, because the Friesian has a tendency to, the minute they get uneasy, their head goes like this, they go up, and then the back goes hollow. And when the back goes hollow, their legs don't come under their body to step. And so... Fiera, that is a model mare.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she's a model mare. She's the only model mare on the entire West Coast. She made model last year. We bought her as a 3-year-old, and that's Yannicka on her right now.
Yeah.
We bought her as a 3-year-old, and she was very tense and was at the inspection in the Netherlands and didn't show very good because of the exact thing that I just explained. The head went up, the back went hollow. She didn't step, and she didn't get as good of a score as she could. But the exterior and the conformation and feet and legs and all of that was stunning, since she's,
a model mare.
Yeah. I mean, you can see she's gorgeous. And I knew the breeder very well. I've been trying to buy a horse from her for years, but she doesn't sell horses outside of the Netherlands, because the truth is the real quality tends to stay in the Netherlands, and they keep that in their breeding pool so they can control it as far as the direction they're trying to take the breed. You can buy quality horses, but you shouldn't be able to buy a mare like that.
Yeah.
And the day she went to the inspection, we saw it, and I have a friend of mine over there, and I said, go talk to her immediately. And then he made a picture and sent it to me, and I woke up to it on my birthday, and I looked at my phone and I showed it to Kayla, and she goes, oh. And we had a 4-hour interview with her before she would sell me the horse.
Wow.
In fact, I was on the phone with her driving to the bank to send the money
Yeah.
because we had to have her.
Yeah.
And she's done some very impressive things and is continuing to do some really impressive things.
Is length of tail part of the qualifications?
But tail is it's part of the hair, and we cut the tails because in dressage you halt and you back up, and they can step on them and tear them and break them, and even unloading and loading them from the trailer can happen. So yeah. So I'll finish though real quick on so they get the inspection, and then so they can go as like yearlings and 2-year-olds, but as a 3-year-old they go to inspection. That means they're kind of like a young adult, and they get it's called a linear score, and so that's really a fine tune of the 27 points, and then they earn a predicate. And so the bottom is stud book, and then you have a third premium, and then you have a second premium, and a second premium earns a star. Then the mare becomes star. All right. And what's the statistic? 60% of all the Friesians will qualify for stud book or for third premium. But they can also not, if they have a big white patch on them or a genetic defect, or they don't walk, or if they have a major issue, right? Then they're not accepted into the stud book, and they stay in the V book. You can still breed the mare, but it's really not a quality mare. And so 40% make the star predicate or higher.
Yeah.
And then if they get a first premium, they can earn provisional crown. And the next predicate above that is crown. So they can make a provisional crown, which means it's kind of temporary. And then they have to go on and do a performance test. It's called an IBOP. It's a sport aptitude test.
Okay.
And they can do that under the saddle, or they can do that in front of the cart, in the cart. And it's to show the future sportability of the horse. And then they have to get like a certain amount of points. It's very high. It's not very easy to do. And then if they get high enough points, then they become permanent crown. And so 10% of that 40% of the horses that make star will make crown. So if you take 1,000 horses, you have 400 that have made star or higher.
Right.
And now you only have 40 that have made crown out of the original 1,000. And then I think it's something like 5% of that 40 will make model. And for them to make model, they have to be at least 7 years old and have had one foal. So it's to show like the longevity of the horse and the youthfulness, because sometimes like with the horses, they can have a baby and then the body just kind of
falls apart.
Yeah, it kind of breaks down, So it's also the conditioning and the care and the nutrition, and there's so many things that really go into it to do it at a high level. But that's kind of how the predicates work. So Fiera is a model mare. So she's like I said, she's the only one on the whole West Coast.
Now, would Nika be a model mare yet?
Yeah, she'll make
Not
model.
yet. She has to have a foal first.
Oh, she's only 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So she'll make model. Yeah. There's they used to have a predicate and they got rid of it because no one ever got it, and it was called provisional model, and they would award that, and then I think there's in history only 2 mares to ever receive that.
Wow.
And the judges did tell us kind of quietly when she made the provisional for the crown. So she's doing her IBOP this year. Okay. We believe in taking our time with our horses, allowing their bodies to mature and grow correctly. And the horse's development is super important. You can't just start riding them as a 2-year-old. You can cause long-term damage.
Deform the back.
Yeah, and or the joints and things like that. So for us, we really take our time. So Nika's 5 this year. We probably have 35 or 40 rides off the lunge line with her. We've actually already taken her to a competition though, and she did very well. But it was more for her mind and to get her outside and exposed and things like that. And Yeah.
So when they are when you start out with them, how young? I mean, if you're breeding them, obviously,
Hmm.
then you start with them. How young do you generally buy these horses?
Well, we tend to buy young horses. Um, I think I think we have an eye for what we want.
Okay.
We want a very modern horse. Um, and then looking at the horse and its conformation, trying to pair it with a stallion to produce offspring. So if you look at the offspring we're producing, they're all, I mean, Kai will make star this year. He'll do an IBOP as well this year. He'll be in the top section of that. That's actually Nika's brother.
Okay.
Ilba is an approved stallion, so the statistics I gave you to become the model mares,
Mm-hmm.
it's even harder for a stallion to
Interesting.
become a breeding stallion. There's less than 100 of them in the entire world.
Wow.
And
Is that just because there's more of them than there are of potential model mares, or is
no,
that
it's
qualifications are
so
more
they're
difficult?
using the stallions to control the direction that the breed is going. So if you look at stallions that were approved 15 years ago, they do not look like Ilba. Ilba is a sport horse, dressage horse. He's a top level dressage horse in North America, one of the top in the Friesian breed throughout the whole world. And I mean, he's competing at I1 with his rider in the Netherlands before he came home. He just came home in March.
Okay.
And so he was in the Netherlands up until March, but Leonie was riding him for us in the Netherlands, and she had, at I1, which is just basically kind of 1.5 steps below the top level of Grand Prix, scores in the 70 percentile. So, which is very, very, very good. And very, his dad is Ilba's dad is actually the only Friesian to ever go to the World Equestrian Games and make it the farthest in the world of dressage. That is one step from the Olympics.
Got it.
So his dad is the one, and Ilba has another brother also approved, and is also a very, very, very talented dressage horse. So the bloodlines he's producing dressage horses, but when we're breeding to stallions, we're looking at everything from, it's called inbreeding coefficiency. The Friesians were almost extinct. They were only down to a couple of breeding stallions at one point.
Wow.
And so there is a little bit of inbreeding that takes place. Like anything purebred, there's
going to be a little bit of
there is always a little bit, yeah. So we're really focused on the health of the horse as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something called kinship, which kinship is kind of like how big your family is. So
Right.
I'm Italian. I'm not 100% Italian, but pretty close. I'm Italian and Dutch, go figure. And a little bit of German and a couple other things.
You're European.
Yes, I'm European. But kinship is like how big your family is, how many aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters.
Got
It's really important to have a low kinship. Like Ilba is one of the lowest in all of North America for a breeding stallion.
Interesting.
Which is part of the reason why we bought Ilba is because he can breed a lot of the mares and
Mhm.
not increase the
Not tap
inbreeding.
into the gene pool.
Yeah, exactly. The
Right.
inbreeding coefficiency. So
So a low kinship is better than a high
yeah,
kinship.
absolutely.
I would
Yeah.
have thought it would be the other way around.
Yeah, they rated on the percentage to the general Friesian population. So like he's at 16, and this number sounds crazy, but when you're dealing with 100,000+ Friesian horses in the world, the difference between 0.5% is a lot of horses.
Yeah.
And so he's at like 16.4, and the average breeding stallion, the other breeding stallions in America are over 18%.
Wow.
So that 1.5% difference when there's 5,000 breeding mares in America, it's
a
a
lot.
difference between being able to breed. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stallions here already have their offspring are actually in relation to a lot of the other stallions that are here. So Ilba can breed all but 11 mares in North America, right? 12 because his daughter's down here now. But
Shouldn't do that.
no. But he can breed a lot of mares.
Got it.
Which is really good for the blood spread and also for what our program's focused on, which is Friesians and dressage in North America.
And it sounds like the horses take their father's characteristics much more than their mother's. Is that
I
correct?
think there's a really big debate on that. I've
Okay.
seen it both ways. If you have a really good quality mare like Fiera,
Mhm.
nay, no, it's they take a lot from the mom. I
Okay.
bet you they take 60 or 70% from the mom.
Interesting.
Now, if you have a really low quality mare and you breed to an approved stallion, that's you're going to have a better foal than the mom. But like we were talking about Nika and pairing her with a stallion, that's my wife Kayla
Yeah, yeah.
on Fiera.
On Fietta. Okay.
Yeah. With Nika, finding the stallion to pair her to is
Very
difficult.
difficult.
Yeah, but she actually pairs very well with Ilba because it's shortening her back. It's creating a bunch of a little bit more sport. And what we want for sportability and what we're looking for our future offspring, based on what we're trying to produce for our program. So everything I do is very, very methodical.
Gotta be calculated.
There's no backyard breeding. There's like not with as much data. I mean, Ilba has about 140 points that you can look at. They even look at their character when they go through the approval process. They look at trainability. We have to get full x-rays on the stallions before they become approved, make sure there's no genetic defects. They look at the semen quality. They look
Everything.
at literally everything. And then they have to go do 70 days of testing. So the approval process to get a stallion approved is buy a lottery ticket. Serious.
Wow.
It's like winning the lottery. They start the big farms in the Netherlands will start with 1,000 horses. They'll buy 1,000 foals, and every year as the foals are growing up, they'll narrow it down and down and down. And by the time they get to the 3-year-old, they maybe have 40 or 50 horses that they put into training, and 25 of those won't make it, and so they'll get sold. And now they've down to 25 that they take to inspection, and then the judges have to like them. The blood has to be interesting, meaning you know you don't see stallions with the same exact dad and also the mom's dad. So when you look at the breedings like Kai, he's Yessa by Fika by Monta. So his dad is Yessa, his mom's dad is Fika, and his grandma's dad is Monta. And so when you look, that's how they look at them.
Okay.
And so you would never see another stallion just like Ilba with the same, because it's not interesting.
Right.
They already have it.
Yeah.
So they want different and unique. So you have to be mindful of that when you're breeding. It's very difficult to breed an approved stallion. It's one of my main goals.
Yeah.
In breeding.
Interesting. And how many Friesian stables are there around the world that are also competing for
this? I don't know. I mean, doing what we're doing, I don't think there's anyone in the world doing what we're doing. We're very versatile. There are sport horse programs. There's Friesian sport horse programs. There's Friesian sport horse breeding programs. What I think separates us is we're a full reproduction site, on-site reproduction. So I've gone back to school. We're blessed. I retired young. Kayla and I owned some companies. We sold them. We started them and built them up, and sold them. And this is now what we do full time. And so I went back to school, and so we do everything. So we do the stallion collection and shipping the semen like around North America for breedings, but we also can freeze it, like not in your freezer, but with liquid nitrogen at like negative 380 degrees frozen.
Yeah.
So you know the movies where they get cryogenically frozen?
Right.
We do that with the semen.
Yep.
And we can then ship it around the world.
I was going to say back to the Netherlands.
Yeah. I actually have a bunch in the Netherlands from before he came home that I did. But yes, essentially we can send to South Africa, Australia, Mexico, South America, all of that. So we're a full stallion station and standing our 3 stallions, all approved stallions. And then we also do all of the artificial insemination for the mares. And then we do some really fun stuff, which I'm very passionate about. We have a full rescue program where we rescue off the track thoroughbreds
Hmm.
if they've had like career-ending injuries. A lot of those horses they don't end up in good lives. Most of them go to kibble, or it's an interesting world. But for us, we can repurpose those mares and give them good forever homes. And then we use those mares as our recipients. So we're a full embryo transfer facility. So like Fiera that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
we bred her twice this year, and I take the embryo out of Fiera and put it in the recips.
Interesting.
And then they become the surrogate moms, and they have the babies, and it allows us to continue to keep the mare in work and going, and not having to put her body at risk
I was
and
gonna say, yeah.
jeopardize her risk, because foaling can be dangerous and things like that, and then save some thoroughbreds, which also makes you feel good at the end of the day. And so we do the embryo transfers, we do embryo vitrification. So sometimes a mare can actually double ovulate. So you would get twins, and I'll get 2 embryos, and we can freeze one of them cryogenically. And then I can thaw them later on. And we do a lot. So around the world, I don't think there's anyone doing everything from the stallion station, on-site breeding and collections and AI and embryo transfers and all of that,
Yeah.
through the foaling and all the way up to the top levels of sport. I don't know of anyone, and I don't. And I've asked a little bit, like, hey, is there anyone really out there doing all the levels? And I hope more people do it, because the horse business is pretty tough. It's not an easy business to make any money at by any means. And so when you're well diversified inside of the business, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, because I would imagine people want to buy the sperm from some of the stallions that you guys have.
Oh yeah, we do between our 3 boys probably 300 breedings a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a fair amount.
How often will the mares breed in their lifetime?
That's a really loaded question, because some mares you can breed until they're 20 or 25. We had a mare that had a foal at 18 years old, and it was a perfect foaling and textbook, and we retired her after that. But sometimes they stop at 12. It's kind of like humans. So much relates back to humans.
Yeah.
So sometimes women can't have children after 30 or 35. Sometimes, women can have children at 50. We're all different, and the horses also are the same.
Yeah. Talk to me about their personality. So when you're looking at a horse, what personality traits are you looking for? And then what is going to make it a really good, is there a difference between the personality of a model horse and a perfect, what are the different personalities?
Well, I mean, personality is just like humans. They're all different. I have sassy ones. I have kind of laid back ones, like Gallardo, one of our approved stallions. Super chilled, laid back, easygoing, doesn't have a care in the world. He's kind of like the hey dude, like Crush from Finding Nemo, right? Like, he's just that kind of guy.
Chilling.
Yeah, super chill. Eric, our approved Broke Pinto stallion, is super high strung, very good in work, very good in the arena under saddle. He's more like a gelding. And Calito, nay. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Abba, will you have Deanna grab Kai a flake of hay?
Hello, friend.
Yeah, he's beating on the stall door.
He's got a very streamlined head.
Yeah, so he has a very noble head.
Got it. Okay, that's what nobility looks like.
Yeah, so through the muzzle down here, short in the mouth. It's not mouth. He doesn't smile up to here. He has a very refined jawline. His eye distance is really nice. His ears are tippy.
Yeah. He's got the big bridge, or I don't know what that is, right here.
Yeah. His isn't as prominent as some. But
is that a pro or a con?
It doesn't really affect him either way.
Okay.
They don't want them dishy like an Arabian.
Yeah.
But maybe a little, like, kind of slight. It's better than the Roman, like Like there's some Andalusians and PREs and things like that have this big Roman nose that rounds over that literally the horse can't see its nose because the bridge of it is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
like
can see a
Ilba's
little
head,
bit of, I can see a
Ilba has
little
a
bit of it.
beautiful head.
Yeah.
He has just his head for racial type is, yeah.
Yeah, and the ears are
It's
super pointy.
It's
and,
pretty.
yeah. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
personalities.
So I guess we breed two types of Friesians.
Okay.
Our typical buyer is usually about 95% of our buyers are getting their first Friesian.
Okay.
What we breed for top level sports is not what I am selling that client. I am going to sell that client a horse that is very good character, very easy to handle, very honest. Not that the top level horses aren't, but like Nika is a fire breathing dragon.
Yeah, you can't be your first horse.
I care about our clients.
Yeah.
And I also want to represent the breed correctly and honestly. And I feel like there are stallions in North America and people breed to them. A lot of times they breed to them because their friends own the stallion. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Not because it's the best pair for the mare or they even understand what that stallion produces in offspring. And it's really unfortunate. But there's one stallion that comes to mind that sorry.
You're fine.
Bed. Kayla, can you please have Deanna get a flake of hay now? Thank you. Sorry.
You're fine. He's upset.
He's Well, I think he wants to go out is what he really wants, but we have Eric out right now and it's his time to go out and he knows this.
Yes.
So
he's gearing up. He knows that he's next.
He's like, "Hey, pay attention to me." And we're also sitting here and he wants scratches and attention.
Understandable.
Yeah. So we'll give him a little food so he's quiet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to character, with Nika, like I said, she's super hot off the leg. She's very forward. They have a mindset. They have I'm here. Like, it's funny when you talk to some of the judges, they like the mare that comes in the arena that snorts and says, "I'm a Friesian horse and I am here and look at me." And that's very good. But also there are a lot of stallions that produce really good representations of the breed. And like character-wise, Gircha, she is by a stallion named Hessel, also Gallardo's dad as well.
Okay.
And that's where Gallardo gets that kind of, "Hey bro, chill," kind of, character from. And Gircha has that as well. I mean, we had 3 rides under saddle and with Gircha, and we let our 7-year-old jump on her. Now we were there ponying her on a lunge line, like from me to you away. She wasn't out just doing it by herself. But very honest. She knew she had Anna at 7 on her, and and we were comfortable with that. And Gabby's never had a buck or a kick or nothing in her life, and so but Nika, like, it's a lot more. You have to be really sharp, and it's also most people getting into Friesians or getting a Friesian for the first time. A lot of times it's their first horse they're also getting. Maybe they had horses as a child growing up and now they're married or older with children themselves and want to get back into horses, kind of like we did.
Yeah.
And so you want that individual to have a really good experience. If they bought a foal that is from a sire that's hard to handle, or not raised correctly, it's why buying from a breeder that knows what they're doing and handles the foals correctly and has a set of standards of like the expectation levels that the horses should be behaving. I mean, even like Kai right now, I'm not okay with that. Right.
Yeah.
And he knows better. And now everyone is going to be upset because he got hay and they didn't. A little bit of something. That's why Olba just said, "Where's mine?"
What's going on here?
Where's mine?
Yeah.
It's not dinner time yet.
Yeah.
So we breed for two types. We breed for the dressage, the hot. I don't like the word hot. I think hot is it's
Big personality.
yeah, big character. I'm here, look at me, I'm going to show off, I'm going to impress everyone.
It's like a type A person.
Yeah.
You know what I
Very,
mean?
very type A.
Yeah.
So that's that dressage horse that we tend to keep. We keep them all the way through their 4 or 5 year old year. We get them started. And then we'll have adult amateurs that can ride that horse. It's a very big moving horse. The forward movement is incredible. It's a big canter. And it's a lot to manage. And there's not a lot of beginner dressage riders who should get on a big moving Friesian like that. Now, but also Gertje is an amazing moving mare, and you could go do entry level, like training, first, second, even third level stuff with Gertje, which is working your way up to the upper levels. And she has a disposition, but her conformation and her spirit, I don't personally think she could go to the highest levels at Grand Prix. But I've seen crazier things happen also. So
Yeah.
It's kind of like, look at Tom Brady. Why was he drafted 180th or 200, some crazy high number,
Yeah,
right?
something nuts.
Yeah. But he persevered and became a master of the game and look at what he's been able to accomplish in his career. So,
it's not like there's a detractor between Kai and Gertje that Gertje's going to score lower because he's a more laid back personality than Kai.
No. And once again, those 5 basic things, but then how do they go in the arena and how do they carry themselves and how do they move? And, are they balanced? Can they utilize their body? And a good judge, and this is what we struggle with, I think, more in North America than in Europe, is we hear it. We go into the dressage arena and the judges will go, oh, it's a Friesian. And Friesians typically, here's my belief.
Go ahead.
You can't train a Friesian how you train most horses. They're smart. They're not forgiving. They need honesty. And if you treated a Friesian like, and trained it like you train the Western horses, you're going to ruin it. If you treat it like a warm blood, you're not going to get the collection. And collection is like the horse's ability to carry itself and also you as a rider.
Like confidence almost?
No, it's actually its physical ability to use its body.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
So you got to think, you're a rider on the horse. The horse has to be able to carry you, be balanced, have suppleness in the step, have impulsion, so power from behind, and utilizing the hind leg and moving forward. And so conformationally, it makes some of the dressage movements, because there's a lot of different types of bending and twisting and stepping that the horse has to do in dressage, that the horse's conformation doesn't allow them. So what's happened is you have a lot of individuals. There are good Friesian trainers, like I said, in America that have shown Friesian horses successfully up to Grand Prix. They are few and far between. And I think what has happened, and I haven't been in the breed for 30 years, so I can't really see it, but looking back on it and trying to learn as much as I can, the judges take the approach of it's a Friesian, and they have this kind of thought process of that it can't or it can't do like a flying change, which is when it's in canter and it moves from the right lead to the left lead or back to the right, vice versa. And the Friesian statistically struggles with that.
Yeah.
But it's also knowing how to get the horse to collect based on its conformation, because it's a little difficult to explain, but the way the neck comes off of the shoulder, Friesians want a tall, upstanding neck. Okay.
Like a swan?
Essentially, yes, but not as
obviously.
Yeah. Not as big of that, but in fact, that's one of the things some Friesians have, a swan neck, and they call it a swan neck. And that's not good. It's too exaggerated.
Okay.
It could be less.
Yeah.
But what happens when the horse's neck comes like this is that if they want the horse, there's a few movements it requires them to reach out forward. And when they're doing that, they come over and they transfer their weight to their front shoulders, and their legs are not able to come underneath and still carry themselves as they try to make contact and utilize their back muscles. And so that becomes very difficult for them. So there's different things like that. That one thing we struggle with is, we hear other competitors, it's a Friesian, blah, blah, blah. And then Kayla goes out there and gets high point for the weekend and high point for the day and wins the classes on ILBA. And we love it because we're showing what you can actually do when the horse is properly trained and in the right frame. You can still do dressage. And the thing with dressage is you can do dressage on a pony. Dressage is training. It's continuous training. That's where it originated from, in France. And it's a continuous training of the horse. So it's really the partnership of you and the horse. And I think it's the difficulty that we have here is the judges or competitors will look, they don't look at the conformation of the horse and go, okay, that's a really nice collected or stretchy trot that's, where the head's lowered for the horse's conformation. You can do things physically that maybe you have a full brother that your full brother can't do, or sister or something like that.
Right.
Based on your conformation, maybe you're 6 inches taller and you can dunk on the basketball hoop, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, conformation plays a big role in it, and the horse's ability to do things. And so, in Europe, that mindset's starting to change a little bit, and I see it changing here on the regional levels. It just takes time.
Yeah.
And also showing that, hey, we can take this horse. Our Friesians are not like the average Friesian in North America. They're all sporty built. They're all built for dressage.
Right.
I mean, that's what we are focused on. That's what our horses are focused on. We have a few that we breed that are a little bit more of the traditional type. And those are generally ones that we breed them to a stallion like ILBA with really good character, and trainability and things like that, because that's a really good horse for, your mom. If she says, hey, I really want to get a Friesian horse. I've never had horses. Teach me, show me, learn me. I mean, we've sold a couple hundred horses in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So we mentor all of our clients. We hold their hand, everything from nutrition all the way through training, and try to help guide them for what their goals are with their horse.
Yeah.
But those are good horses that we breed and we sell, as young stock, as young babies, for those people that have that trainability. There's a few sires that I had a foal, for example, a couple of years ago, and 95% of the people are new Friesian buyers. I can't tell you how many messages I had on my Facebook Messenger for people that wanted to buy this foal, but none of them I felt were going to be a good home because of the foal's fire.
Yep.
She was spicy, and I mean. And that's saying something if I'm like, whoa,
baby. Yeah. You've been in this industry a long time.
Well, no, I mean, it isn't necessarily a long time. I think if you think about what we've accomplished in 6 or 7 years, but for a lot of people, horses they go to work to their normal job and they come home and they feed their horses and they maybe ride a few times during the week. I'm in this barn 12 hours a day. It's all we do. It is all we have done for the last 6 years. The countless hours, the schooling. We've been to judging courses with the KFPS judges. The amount we go specifically to the Netherlands to go watch inspections over there, so we can see how the stallions over there, what the offspring they're producing look like. So then I'm more educated on who I want to breed my mares to.
Yeah.
So I can produce the future offspring. I want to be ahead of the game. I don't want to be behind the game.
You live and breathe this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, someone like Ulba, what is the kind of, you mentioned shortness of the back, you mentioned the head comes up at the kind of the right angle.
Mhm.
What are all the things that make him better than someone else? What's kind of the perfect things they're looking for? As far as like shortness of back, that seems like a strange one that just caught my attention.
Well, I wouldn't say perfect, right? Because he has things to improve on.
Yeah.
And I think Ilba, there's a reason why he's an approved stallion. He checks more boxes than all the other horses that were in his class. I mean, they start with about 350 to 400 ish young horses that are like in the age group. So as 3-year-olds, and they'll approve 4 or 5.
Wow.
Maybe. So he started but rewind a little bit, because you have 5 or 6 big farms in the Netherlands. They are stallion stations. So they have 8 or 10 of him of approved stallions, and they're breeding. And then they tell the breeders, hey, if that's a really good colt, I'll buy it back from you. And then they buy it. And then literally they take 1,000 foals and they put them out in a field together. And then every year they go through them. They don't like this one. They don't like that one. This one has the same blood as another stallion that was approved this year. So they get rid of it and they start selling them off. And so you take, when I say 1,000, sometimes it's only, I have a friend who does it. He's a stallion station. And he'll buy 80 to 100 a year.
Okay.
I have another friend who's one of the biggest stallion stations, and they have 600 or 700 in a field, but every year. So they have 600 or 700 yearlings, 600 or 700 2-year-olds, 600 or 700 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
And some years maybe only 250 because the full crop was maybe not as good.
Yeah.
Some years maybe more because the horses are better. So they start dwindling that down. And like I said, each one of these guys, they will take those and they'll have it down to 40 or 50. And then they have a whole team of support and they train all those horses. They get them going under saddle. They teach them all the ground manners. They'll do x-rays on all 50 of them. They do all of it. And then they take them to that initial inspection for when they turn 3. And then they can start the approval process. So all of those horses, I mean, Ilba came out of, they were probably worldwide. So maybe 5,000 or 6,000 foals worldwide born that year. So if half were colts, that's 3,000 colts. And his year they approved 5.
So basically 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
These dressage and Friesian horses, they seem like the models of the horse world. Is that kind of maybe an accurate way of thinking about them?
Yeah, for a lot of people. Everyone has something that they like. It's kind of like, for me, Gallardo. Gallardo's a long story, but he was our first stallion. Kayla didn't want to buy a stallion. I loved him. He came over. He at like 13 months, laid his head in my arms. I melted. I threw my checkbook at him. I was going to do everything I could do to buy him. I had to have him. I knew his character just by that.
Yeah.
But another thing is I, like I said earlier, we feel very blessed. We've been very fortunate. We've built some amazing companies. We've been very successful through our hard work.
Yeah.
Nothing has been given to us. We're not those people. We grind it out.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted I saw a movie when I was like 3 or 4 years old with a Lamborghini Countach, and it had the doors.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kayla and we were actually discussing. So we got the Friesians, and she says, "Okay, you can buy the car now." And then like maybe 1 year later, we found, and I didn't buy one. I actually went. We drove one. We took it for the day. We had a lot of fun. I don't know if I liked that much attention.
Yeah.
That we were getting. It was a fun experience, but I always had wanted one. And so he's Gallardo after a Lamborghini, right?
Yeah,
Lamborghini
right.
Gallardo. And so he's my supercar.
Yeah.
And now I have a lot of supercars.
Now you have a lot of supercars.
Yeah. And I would take them every day of the week over a regular supercar.
They don't have the problems of the clutch. that a Countach has.
Yeah, that or the maintenance of the oil change or tires. Knowing me, I would need tires. I
Right.
would be Les Schwab's biggest customer.
Yeah, exactly. And I
And
don't know
every
that
cop
Les
in
Schwab
town
would be
hate
able
me
to help
too.
too. Yeah,
That would be the bad thing. So,
yeah.
no, it's funny. I will probably buy something. I think I want to get a Porsche, something fun for like a date night.
Yeah.
Nay. But not something so, not egotistical, but something so elaborate.
Loud.
Yeah, loud.
Like if you
Yeah,
get a
exactly.
Lamborghini, it's
really
very in your
loud.
face. I mean, I saw a Ferrari in town the other day.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice it. Like it can kind of slip under the radar.
Yeah, sometimes.
My parents have Porsches, and
Yeah.
they can kind of like.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, I want a GT3 RS, and we've been talking about
baby.
it for a little while.
That's a car you
and-
got to try out for.
I can
Is
get
what
one.
I've heard.
Yeah, I can get one.
Okay, you know
It's-
some people.
Life is not about what you know; it's who you know.
That is true. Yeah, and
So-
you're
and a
Italian.
little bit of
and-
what you know,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. You're German. You got some German in you, so you can
There's a
go.
little bit of everything. European, right?
Yeah.
So, no, but we'll see. Maybe one day. I don't know though. The problem is like we're in the truck every time we go anywhere. It's all horses.
Yeah.
I grew up hunting and fishing, and I grew up in Coeur d'Alene, and that's what brought us back to Idaho. Is I wanted to get back to small town. We wanted a tight knit community, a good place to raise your kids, somewhere safe where I could feel like my wife could go to the grocery store without, some
Gun necessary.
yeah, and also just a good place to call home and really focus on what we're trying to do. And I kind of like being out of the water a little bit. It's unique in this area, and I think it's a good opportunity. We have a youth program. It's not for everyone because it's very structured. Everything we do is very structured. But it's a really neat program for kids, for the parents that want to get kids into riding, and it's boys, girls, it doesn't matter. It's a commitment though from the parents and from the kids. We have a couple of trainers that work for us. In fact, our assistant moved here. We moved her here from Oregon with us. And she's wonderful with the kids. And we put a lot of the kids on Gearcha. And we teach basic beginner dressage with the possibility of working into, competitions even at some point someday. So
Yeah.
It's kind of our way to involve the community a little bit, and show what also can be done with horses, not just in the Western world, but to broaden the knowledge of just horses in general, and also like I said, the English world and dressage. And there's a couple hunter jumper facilities in the area, and they do a good job. But no one focusing on just dressage.
Yeah.
So.
Talk to me a little bit about dressage. You've mentioned a couple times that when you take Friesians to the dressage tournaments, people are like, "Oh no."
It's not necessarily oh no. It's just kind of this predetermined. A lot of the Friesians that were coming over to the States were a little bit more of the old style, and that old style horse struggled to do some of the dressage movements. And so you had some people getting the horses, taking them to competitions, but it's also, like I said earlier, it's a very difficult horse it's not difficult to train. You just have to do it different. You can't train it like you train the other horses. And
what do you mean by that? Is it possible to explain, or is it kind of just something you have to see?
I mean, a lot of it is seeing, but you at times have to be more patient. They're highly intelligent. I think we have a bigger mix inside of the Friesian breed. There's a bigger mix of personality, a wider spectrum.
Right.
Whereas some other breeds, this is the personality.
Yeah.
This is what you get. You want a XYZ horse, it's going to be in here. So when you have this difference, if you have a trainer in the States that's used to training, let's say a Dutch warm blood. I'll pick on the KWPN for a second. It's not picking on them, but that horse, the way have self carriage, and the way that they carry their body is so effortless. So you can't force a horse with its head that comes upright to carry its body the same exact way.
Right.
And so with that being said, you look at the history of the Friesian in North America, there are some people that have done a great job that have been able to take the horse up through the levels. But it's not common. It's just not common.
Yeah.
I know of, in fact, I'll give a little plug to Nika and a full brother to Kai. There's a stallion, we owned him at one time. His name's Jura Uti Weston. And Jura is so full brother, like I said, to Kai. So same dad and obviously same mom. And he is a 9-year-old stallion right now who just went to the festivals in Chicago at Lamplight and got 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's the blood in those horses between Kai and Nika and Stetta, the younger sister of them all, it's super.
You've run into a nice genealogy
but,
there.
Yeah, but Jura is an example. Correct training, patience, proper time, not rushing things, staying honest with the horse. Everything that we do, not just us, but anyone does nowadays, is so scrutinized on social media and the internet.
Yeah.
You can't fart wrong anymore, right? Like,
No.
honestly, you have to be so overly cautious because, like, we get a lot of hate already because we're very successful. And with success, and the higher you go, the more people get jealous. We get people say all the time, oh, they don't know anything. They're self-proclaimed professionals. And it's like, well, I don't know about that. We win the mayor's show. We win the inspections every year. I have probably the best breeding stock in all of North America in this barn right now. I'll put my horses against any of them, and I've done it, and we win. So that's not a cockiness. It's a confidence that comes in our expertise and what we're doing. And I think that on social media, when you have all the different things, there's a very famous, like one of the top riders in the world that in the last Olympics got caught videoed doing something. Some people would support and say, you don't know the situation. Other people call it animal abuse. I'm not going to state my opinion of it. I definitely have one, but it's not one that I share publicly. But you have to stay honest with the horse.
Yeah.
And if you do that with the Friesian and you're patient and you know what you're doing and what you're looking at, you can move the horse along. But for a lot of trainers, this also happens with the Friesian horse is people don't know how to train the horse. It's a business for them. There's a lot of trainers that it's their livelihood. So they tell the client, I can train the horse goes in, they pay the stabling and they pay the training every month, and they don't really move the horse along. I've had that happen. And it's just now to this point where now I have my own trainers, my own staff. We're now educated and understanding enough about the breed where we're actually the ones doing the training ourselves. When we first started, I've hired multiple trainers and learned from each of them, but also learned what not to do from each of them.
Yeah.
And found what works for us, and what works for us may not work for the next person. But I think that's a little bit of why it is a little more difficult for this breed in dressage in North America is there's a lot of little things that I think that's contributed to the lack of success.
Yeah.
I think the horse is capable of quite a bit more, and we will definitely be showing what the horse is capable of.
But it has a rough reputation at the moment.
No, it's not rough. It's just not. It's just not at a level that I think it's capable of performing at.
Got it.
I wouldn't say rough. I don't really ever talk negatively about anything. I always try to put things into a positive light. There's definitely opportunity
Mm-hmm.
for the horse in North America in sport. If there wasn't, we're very passionate about what we're doing and we love what we're doing, and it's all driven from passion. But if I didn't think it was possible, we also wouldn't be doing it.
Right. Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like I go back to Tom Brady. If he didn't think he could be the greatest quarterback
He
in the
probably wouldn't have
history,
tried.
he probably wouldn't have put it in there. But he knew he could do something,
Yeah.
and he wanted to set out to show everyone what he could do. And that's really very similar to what Kayla and I are doing.
Yeah. A little bit about dressage. Can you kind of explain the basic concept and how do you win dressage?
Yeah. So, it's a ballet on a horse, man. It really is. It's ridden in an arena. So like an Olympic sized dressage court is 20 meters by 60 meters long, and there are letters along the way,
Mm-hmm.
and those letters are used at different for different tests.
Okay.
So you start with training level, and at training level, inside of that level, there's multiple tests.
Yeah.
And those are predetermined routes, basically, that you ride around in the arena on. And
Got
they
it.
start with very basic movements like walking, trotting, and cantering. Okay. And then you go to first level and you add walking and trotting and cantering, but also with more difficulty, like counter canter, which is so the canter, which leg is front. So whether it's the right leg, well, counter cantering, when a horse wants to turn, it's going to have its front forward. If it wants to turn to the left, it's going to have its front left forward. So a counter canter would be its right
Crossover.
going forward, not crossing over, but counter cantering. So its front right is going to the left. So it's
Okay.
not technically balanced.
Yeah.
But still carrying itself in you and the rider in the correct frame with suppleness and impulsion and all these other little things that mean something,
Right.
And so you go from first to second to third. Inside of each of these, there's multiple tests. And then you go to fourth, and then you go to Prix St. George, and that's really kind of like the bee's knees. That's an upper level horse. And then after Prix St. George, you go to I1, I2, and Grand Prix. And the Grand Prix is, and then inside of each of those, you can do what we call like freestyles, musical freestyles.
Oh,
So
interesting.
you have specific movements that you need to do, and you can design your own and do it to music. And so if you have a horse that does a really good canter down, transition down to trot, but it does it really good at M when you're going into the short side. You see here how it says come over your shoulder? Yeah, right there.
Yep.
You see M?
Yep.
If it's set up correctly and it does it really good coming in that corner, then you set your freestyle up that way. We don't really do freestyles.
It does a good job turning right. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Or-
balanced, doesn't slow down, keeps correct bend in the body.
Got
It's
it.
not a board. The horse needs to bend in the corners, and its ability to use its hind legs and stepping underneath and reaching and crossing over for different movements. Like half passes when the horse looks like it's going straight, but it's really going like this. So each one of those steps is a step like from the rear. From the rear right is stepping under the body and
right.
then
Okay.
over with the
Yep.
front to move this way at an angle. So that's a movement. And there's a lot of movements. Canter pirouettes where you're cantering and then they literally stop and like turn on a dime. They sit on their haunches and bop, bop, bop. It's really cool. Piaffe and passage. Piaffing is where they're like kind of dancing in place like a trot with no forward movement. All of these are implemented as you move up. They get more and more difficult. But what's beautiful about it is first level builds on training. Second level builds on what you did at first level. Third, so it's a natural progression up to the top.
Right.
So, we have a lot of young horses. Once again, 6 years in Friesians, going on 7. A lot of horses at Grand Prix are 12 and 13 years old. They're kind of just coming into their prime.
Okay.
Ilba's 11.
Okay.
That's why he's I1, I2. Ilba and Kayla are training Grand Prix movements. They do a really good majority of the Grand Prix. We don't show him at that level because he just came home. And I've said it a couple times, dressage is about the partnership as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a living animal.
Right.
It's not a car.
Right.
You may drive different, but you and I could get in the same car and potentially go have exact same lap times.
Yes.
Right? Way different.
Yeah.
Because you are dealing with a living animal that you have to have a bond with. There has to be a level of trust there.
And synchronicity.
Yeah, horses are fight or flight animals, right? So if they get spooky, they have to know that you have them. They have to follow you through the fire. They have to be able and willing to go to war with you.
Right.
And if you go back to the beginning of dressage, that's really what it was. Is dressage originated from the testing of the partnership between you and the horse. So it's rather interesting. It wasn't until the early 1900s that women were even doing dressage. It was all military.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, all military. And it was an officer's test that was testing the partnership between the horse and the officer and the confidence that they have together to be able to go into battle. So like a canter pirouette, I said it was like you're galloping in and then you come to a stop, but you have to turn on your haunches and halt and get out. Well, think about 250, 350 years ago, and you're in the middle of a battle.
That makes sense.
And you canter in, you may need to and get out, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the movements are movements that the horse naturally does, also out just in the fields, running around playing, being horses. But it's doing it with them in the correct frame where they're utilizing their body correctly. And
so it's almost like how well are you able to control your horse?
Yeah, very much. And also do it, making it look like you're not doing anything. The best dressage riders in the world don't move a hair. Like Isabella Worth, she's one of my favorites. She's a German rider. She got a silver medal, I think, in Paris, on a mare named Wendy, and she's stunning. Watching her ride, she doesn't blink. Like you see no movement, but yet the horse goes out and does this choreographed ballet, beautiful movement. And watching it in person is if you understand the history and where it originated from and really what it takes to do that, it looks so easy. It is the most difficult thing I think you can do with an animal.
Yeah.
Period. Jumping is difficult, but it isn't the preciseness. Barrel racing is difficult, but it doesn't have the finesse. There's a lot of things that dressage teaches riders. Like even for us in our youth program I mentioned a minute ago, the best way to learn how to ride is to have a basis of dressage. It teaches you how to sit in your seat and move. And then you can go do pretty much anything because you have such a solid foundation. And that's how Kayla started, and then moved to Western, and then now obviously is back in a dressage saddle.
So the point of the rider is to kind of be obsolete from the point of the audience, as in invisible.
It's a partnership. It's a 50-50.
But from the audience standpoint, you kind of don't want to notice, like the rider's there, but the rider, it doesn't look like the rider's doing a lot.
You want to see the unity between the rider and the horse, but you just don't want to see them doing all this movement and with the leg and asking them the horse to move forward and seeing the input. Think of a bicycle, and you don't want to see sitting here steering and doing all this stuff. You want to see just solid, sitting still, moving in unison, but still giving aid. So aid is like the ask of the horse, and you can use everything from your leg, your calf, your thigh, your seat, your reins, your hands. Even this much with Ilba is a completely different, it's a button.
Yeah.
And it will make him do something different than before you did it.
Right.
So it's but you have to also train each one of those buttons. You have to
Yeah.
put them into the horse.
How do you train that? And
Repetition.
What's
Fiera.
Fiera.
Yeah.
When Fiera was walking around, I noticed difference in like her head was sometimes up and then it was sometimes really down.
Yeah.
Are you kind of cutting with the grain? This is kind of what naturally the horse does with its personality and
Yeah. So the horse has a
conformation, or-
natural position it wants to be in. You know, if I just put Fiat out in the field and let her go canter around or trot around, she has a natural frame that she wants to be in. But you want power and impulsion from behind, and you want the horse to use its hind legs. It carries its body actually easier. If I have a horse that runs around on its front legs the whole time, it's going to gas itself really fast.
Interesting.
It's pulling 1,200 pounds.
It's a lot.
You know, rather than from behind, those hind legs are so powerful. It's pushing very light because the front end is also off the ground. And with Friesians most of the time. So it's a lot easier. So the horse can have it can go longer before the tank's empty.
Yeah. How do you train
Any of it?
Yeah.
Repetition.
Okay.
Yeah, repetition, patience, and consistency.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's one thing for Kayla and I that we've like with the young horses. So I do all the starting of the young horses. So from the babies, I'm dad, and that's why earlier when we walk through, they all will lay their head on me. They all come up and want hugs and kisses, and I'm daddy.
Right.
I have that bond and relationship with them, and it starts when they're born. And then, you know, really it's about being consistent. And for Kayla and I, we communicate the exact same. We're very methodical. Because it literally is what we do. We'll sit down. I mean, even last night with our staff, we sat down and talked for almost 2 hours last night about each of the horses and the itty bitty little things in communication and what's working and what's not working. And, you know, thinking sometimes outside the box, not being afraid to try something outside the box. 'Cause what works for Ilba does not work for Gallardo.
Right.
And what works for Fiera, it does not work for Nika.
Mm-hmm.
And they are different.
Yeah.
And so how you put that into the horse, while remaining honest with the horse, and it's not easy, but it is about consistency. It's like, oh, this worked, and then praise. They want to know they did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we pet them all the time. Even when we're riding, I don't have anyone in the arena right now, but you'll watch one of the riders, they'll touch their neck. But we have to teach that means good job, because your hands are here by the neck. And so it's easy to just give them a tap like, hey, that was good. But we have to start with when they're babies and they do something good. We say, yeah, you know, we get excited and elaborate it a little bit. And then from that, they learn good job or hutso. We talk a lot of Dutch to the horses because they're Dutch horses. So I feel like it's mandatory.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. And then, so they learn what good job is. And then when we're starting a young horse, we're telling them good job and touching their neck. And then you can get on Ilba and just touch his neck and he knows he was a good boy. Yeah. So it's that kind of progressive.
Sounds like a lot of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
From these
very
animals.
much so. Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, they have bad days just like we do.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you'll have a bad ride on a horse and your head's not screwed on straight and you have to check yourself before you go get on the next and not carry it through to the next horse. And there's really a lot that goes into it. It's not it's
not a slapdash sport.
No.
Yeah.
No.
How do you train, let's say you got a horse who's front leg heavy. How do you train them to kind of sit back on their haunches or, you know, other technical things?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I like to do. With a young horse, like a 3-year-old, I'll put it in the carriage gear and I'll get them towing like a tire around the outdoor. Not a small tire because that doesn't do anything when they weigh 1,000 pounds. But you know, a good size like tire off a tractor or something. Weighs a couple 100 pounds, so it's a little dead weight because it It gets them to sit and engage that back leg. Sometimes we'll teach them to drive and hitch them. That also does a really good job. I love this time of year because they cut the fields, and I've taken Gercha all the way almost to the base of Moscow Mountain from here.
Oh wow.
Just
Okay.
up and over and down through the fields, and all the farmers we've been fortunate. We've met a
Yeah.
couple of them, and they're okay with us. We'll go ride and do all that stuff out there just to take them and give them some outside space and time. But so a little bit of that. Lunging is also really important in putting them in the right frame.
Lunging?
Yeah,
I
so
don't think
like
I've ever seen
we
a
have a
horse
lunge line. So it's like a 25-foot line, and we put them in a bridle, so they have a bit and everything. And then we'll just sometimes we use ropes and things like that to help the horse guide them. It's not like pulling them into a frame. I see some disciplines, and they'll literally like tie the horse back, and it's very cruel. I believe it's cruel.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Some people are okay with it. For me, I would fire someone tomorrow if I saw them treat my horse that way. But it's the ropes and stuff are there is more like we'll run them up around a surcingle that goes around kind of where the saddle would go under their belly, and it's got little loops that go over it on their back. So we'll run a rope off of there, and then through the bit, and then down through their front legs to the girth and to a little loop there. And what it is designed to do, and we leave it looser, it's designed to where if they lift their head up, they feel the bit pressure, so they release off of it themselves. But once again, we don't tie it tight. It's really it's like anything. All of these are tools, and you can use it right. Yeah, they're all tools. You can use the tool correctly, and you can not use it correctly.
And I would imagine if you are forcing the horse, you kind of break the trust between you. Like it sees you as less of a partner, a fellow competitor, and more of maybe a master.
But there is a fine line though, also because like we have 4 kids, and it's you're not old enough to have children of your own, but
not yet.
For people that listen to this that have their kids, how many times do you want to ask your kid to take out the trash?
Probably a lot.
Well, I don't want to ask my kids more than once. I ask my kids to take out the trash.
Oh, sorry. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I ask the horse to do something, so I asked you, I was polite, I was correct in my ask. Okay, now I'm telling you to do it. And there's a right way and a wrong way to tell the horse to do something. Remaining honest with the horse is key. And that's where I think people get themselves into a lot of trouble, especially with Friesians, because they're not very forgiving.
Yeah.
They'll remember, you can't take a whip and go beat the living daylights out of your horse. Some breeds you can do that and they'll completely forget about it tomorrow. Now, I don't condone it in any way.
Yeah.
I've had trainers that have worked for us that we have caught things happening that we had suspected because honestly, our horses tell us.
Yeah.
I can tell when Stead is having a bad day, and if someone's been in her stall and wasn't very polite to her, she tells me about it when I go out at night and do night checks.
Right.
And so we try to stay, but we can move a lunge whip. You don't actually hit the horse. It just makes a little sound, and you can use the whip behind them to move them forward. So if I ask them to move forward and they don't move forward, then I can give the whip a little crack and it will move the horse forward.
Yeah.
You're not hitting it.
Right.
But some people will go after their horse and actually smack it with it. And
yeah.
There's really no reason to do that if you're teaching the buttons correctly along the way and you're very methodical about it.
And you're looking for obedience, and I'm a Christian, obviously. And so I'm seeing this as God made man and then gave him the beast to have dominion over, in the sense that dominion has some strange connotations with that word these days.
Yeah.
But in the sense that you are the master, and you are cutting with the grain, you are looking to bless the horse with how you, or whatever animal it is, with how you are being the master over it. And so if you are a harsh master, or if you are incompetent, or if you're angry,
incompetence is a big thing.
Yeah. All of those things will play out on the horse in the same way that it'll play out on a kid or anything like that. And so
exactly.
That's kind of how I see this, is like you have to understand the frame of the horse, and you're playing within those bounds.
Yeah, and we all make mistakes. It's you make mistakes as
Absolutely.
a parent. I've made mistakes with the horses. You learn from it. You hope.
Yeah.
Some people don't. And you move forward, and you just remember that this gets you this, right?
Right.
And so no one's perfect, and I think it's really important to remember that.
Yep.
But also it's funny when we hire staff, we have a very unique hiring process. My assistant does the first interview. The second interview is always with Kayla and myself.
Mm-hmm.
She weeds through a lot of candidates for us. Anytime we're hiring, we get 40 or 50 or 60 applications, and we'll narrow it down. And then you get to meet with Kayla and I, and we have very upfront, honest conversations. Our program operates at this level. Our staff must operate at this level, and there's no gray area with that. And that doesn't always work for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And we would rather be upfront about that than not. But go back to Tom Brady. How did Tom Brady do what he did until he was 40 years old, right? He took care of his body. He was regimented. He ate the best he could eat. He did all the things that he needed to do to be successful. And that is operating at that level.
Yeah.
And so for us, we really focus on doing everything at that level. I look around here right now, and there's things I don't micromanage anything. But I see things just looking around here that I would rather have addressed than not addressed.
Yeah.
Right. And our staff knows the expectation, but we also, we're a big team and a big family. Once every quarter, we get our staff together and we do a big dinner at the house and have everyone over. We want to celebrate our victories with our staff and keep everyone tight knit, and gives everyone an opportunity to really see a different side of Kayla and I, because when we're in here, it's go time.
Yeah.
We're past hobby farm. That doesn't mean there's a lack of passion, because it's what drives us. But
it's not slapdash.
Well, if Kayla's goal is to ride for the U.S. Olympic team, so with that, how do you become an Olympian? Well, you don't do it by becoming lazy
or on accident.
Yeah, or on accident. Yeah, you don't just wake up one day and become Michael Phelps.
No.
So, and as Kayla's husband, I have everything inside of me wants to support her do that.
Right.
And so if we are going to, as a husband and wife team, accomplish that, and I believe we will. In fact, I know we will. It's not a matter of if, it's when, because that's the kind of people we are. But I need everyone around us, everyone from her coaches. I have fired coaches who were good coaches, who she got along with. But if they don't believe in the goal, what's the point?
Right.
And we're not there, and we're a long ways from there by any means. We're a long, long, long ways from there. But
practice like you play.
Yeah, but go to Tom Brady and look at what position he was drafted in, and look at what he ended up accomplishing in his career. So,
yeah,
I love using Tom as a. I
was gonna say,
I use it a lot just because I feel like he's an individual who persevered. He had everyone against him, thinking that he couldn't do it. All the college scouts didn't. It was difficult for him to get a college scholarship. He sat on the bench as a fourth-string quarterback. He didn't have a first-round draft to the NFL. And then when he got to the NFL, when he was lucky enough to make it, he was a skinny kid with no real muscle who couldn't run, and but he used his knowledge and his strengths to his advantage, and then built a support team around him that allowed him to progress. And so I admire individuals like that. And I just use Tom because everyone knows Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But there's all the top athletes. Pick a sport. Every sport that's out there.
Yeah.
Every top athlete that is at the top of their sport is that way.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're any different. We're
Right.
just not there today. We're still in college hoping that we get drafted. But we're not going to hope. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah,
You,
you've got the
you know what I
mentality
mean?
of a top player,
Yeah,
which you kind
and
of have in order to be
you
successful.
you do, and I think it was a switch for us in our mind because when we started with the horses, it was not a goal, but we learned real quick like what we are capable of,
Mhm.
and I watched my wife like blow up, like literally just go from being a good rider and who can handle herself. She was the high school kid that was crazy enough to get on all the warm bloods and all the crazy stallions that no one wanted to ride and break those horses. She's a little fearless, which is good and bad.
Yep.
But I watched her go from where she's at. We've hired really good support staff around us. She rides under a coach in the Netherlands, while she's in Belgium, actually, who understands the Friesian. She was actually a judge for many years, so she did the inspections, and she understands the horse, the frame, the struggles that we have with the horse, and also she's like family almost now. And Kayla takes lessons from her virtually multiple times a week. And so we have other coaches and trainers that she works with that, now we have a full support. Kayla has massage therapists and chiropractors, and we're operating as if we're at that level, even though we're not, because that's where we want to go.
Yeah.
And so that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah. Where do you see the breed of Frisian horses going in the next 10 years, as well as maybe the sport of dressage? I don't know that's
so it's
tons.
our real goal is to put a horse in the Olympics, to be the first to do it. I don't know if we will be. There's some damn good riders, excuse my French, but there are some good riders out there that are doing some amazing things with some really good Friesians in Europe. I don't know if we'll be the first, but I think when that happens, it will happen. And when it happens, it's going to be, I think it'll be shifting. And there's a level of seriousness, and it may not be the first time. It may be the second or third time that actually happens. But remember, the Olympics are every 4 years. So you've got, you have LA in 18, and then we have Australia. And I don't think LA it's going to happen for a Friesian. I would almost bet that it doesn't. But I should have bought crypto too, and I didn't. But
we all hindsight's 2020.
Right, exactly. But I think, it's definitely headed in the right direction. There's a lot of really good riders, trainers, horses in Europe. North America is starting to get to have a presence. There's a couple of people doing some good things on the Friesians, and it's not just us. In North America, no one is the size of our program. You have a couple of riders with a couple of good horses, but they're not trying to do it on the scale that we're doing it and competing at. I mean, Kayla's competing and showing 7 or 8 horses right now, and that's a lot because usually as a top level rider, she's doing it to learn, because every one of those horses is different. So she's trying to just be a sponge and take as much of it in as she can. It's a longer learn though.
Yeah.
But than riding 1 or 2 horses and just focusing on them. But I think
Sydney 32 is kind of the hope.
We'll see. We'll see. There's one horse in our barn right now that I think has top level sports in them. And I think that we can also get it out of her.
Yeah.
And if the other thing is they got to stay healthy. Injury is one of those things. And so I think if she can stay healthy and we can stay the course, Australia it's always a possibility, but I don't want to be the person that says we're going to go ride it, because it's not realistic. there are a lot of factors that go to it,
Yeah.
including money and sponsors and support. And it takes a lot to, this is the most, we don't use the word expensive in our home. It's not allowed. Our kids aren't allowed to say something is expensive. We've eliminated it from our world, because what you might think is expensive, I may not. And what I may think of something that is expensive, a friend of mine who's a multi-billionaire may not.
Right.
He just bought a new G, like 750. So,
And he would probably consider
when you buy
that,
an $80 million airplane, a $500,000 horse is nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for some people, a $500,000 horse is mind blowing. Truthfully, for me, 6 years ago, it was mind blowing as well. I thought I couldn't believe it. But in the quarter horse world and the Western world, with all these reining horses and stuff, some of these horses are selling for millions. I think one stallion sold for like $8 or $10 million last year.
Good grief.
Right.
Is that
I'm in the wrong business.
Is that for like its conformation as well as its personality and its
what its breeding, what its offspring are doing in the world of sport for that discipline?
Wow.
That's it's a whole different world. I understand a little bit of it, but I don't follow it to obviously the extent of the dressage world. I follow a lot of the warm blood stallions and what they're doing and what they're breeding and how they're breeding. Not because I'm breeding to them, but I like to learn the conformation and what allows the horse to utilize its body the best. And then for me, I'm trying to make my own picture of what I'm following the KFPS and their guidelines by every means, but I have my own thought of what I think the Friesian horse needs to look like to be able to consistently compete at that top level. And if you went and looked up Friesian horses and looked at 100 pictures of Friesian horses and then walked through our barn and looked at all of our horses, they're all completely different than those 100 pictures you're going to look at. I think we have a very modern, old Friesians. Sometimes I'll use this analogy. Old Friesians, the old style, are like a B-52 bombers, just
like
right?
a Clydesdale.
Yeah, and Nika's a F-22 Raptor.
Much more agile and svelte.
Yeah, just state-of-the-art, Gen 5, fighter jet, like,
all the bells
stealth,
and whistles.
the whole nine, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really the difference. Both are capable aircrafts. One can take out a small country, and the other one, you don't know what's there. It has the footprint of a golf ball, I believe.
Yeah.
In stealth, but very purpose-built aircraft.
Right.
Very, very, once again, draft horsey, plowing, or modern, nimble dressage. The longer the horse is, the harder it is to turn. I mean, imagine doing a gallop, a canter on this short side. It's only 20 meters.
Yeah.
So you come into the corner, you need to be collected and set back, and the longer horses, it's harder for them to bend in the corner and carry themselves a nice short. It's like a go-kart, short wheelbase. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas think about a semi turning around in the parking lot.
Whole bit more of an operation.
Yeah.
Where can people find more about Extreme Friesian Stables and yourself and all of this?
Yeah,
online?
So we have a website. It's www.extremefriesianstables, or I'm sorry, extremefriesians.com. That's a Kayla thing. She did all the website. So extremefriesians.com, and then it has a little bit of about us. The best place to really kind of follow up-to-date things and what we're doing is Facebook. We have it linked to our Instagram. I don't really spend a lot of time on social media myself.
Probably good for you.
I just don't have the time. I do our social media posts, and we'll flush an embryo out of Nika or something, and it'll be exciting, or we'll post some statistics of the success that we are having. I think last year we probably had the highest success rate in embryo transfer in the country. Over WSU, over any of the vet clinics or schools or the top repro vets in the country. We had all of our embryos but one take, and we flushed quite a few.
Yeah.
So we'll post statistics like that because I also want to help educate people, not just with Friesians, but in breeding and understanding how the breeding works and that whole world. We've dove into the Friesian world, but I've also personally dove into the reproduction side of things, and really tried to become a steward. And I don't have the big fancy degrees for being a vet and things like that. But I look at it as a little. Have you seen the movie Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon?
I've seen bits of it.
I'm
Yeah.
a little bit more of like, I'll read and research something until I have it dialed.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough information out there with the internet and also relationships. I have a lot of good friends that are repro vets that if I have something that seems weird or off, I can pick up the phone and call them and, hey, this is that. And so over the years, we've been able to develop our own processes or protocols that kind of leads to our success. But Facebook is we post everything from sale horses. We don't do anything about our lessons, and we keep our lessons and program and stuff pretty quiet on social media, just because we're not trying to be a lesson program for everyone. But if anyone has a daughter that loves to ride or a son that loves to ride, and they want to be involved in a program that is going places, and kind of that progression, all of our kids we push them a lot, not just our own personal kids.
Yeah.
We have a 16-year-old son has 7 Division I offers playing football.
Nice.
And our other daughter will probably, I don't know what she'll do, but she'll go to some Ivy League because she's like, I didn't know you can have a 4.3, but apparently you can. She's a super smart kid. So all of our children are very forward thinking, and we have that kind of same expectation for kids in our program. We're not a come and I just want to go play pony. It's meant more for the mindset of, I want to do something. I want to actually do something and accomplish something. And that doesn't mean you have to have a goal of being an Olympic rider like Kayla, but maybe it's, I want to overcome a fear of performing in front of people. So I want to go to a competition. Yeah. And my goal is to get to the competition, and we can help with those kinds of things. Yeah. And set up a plan to do it. So, Facebook and Messenger really is a great way. On our website, you can find our email. My cell number is on there. It rings all day, every day. And texting is great. I mean, really, in today's world, there's a million ways to get a hold of us. So pick one.
Yep. Makes sense.
So.
Fantastic. I'll put the link to Facebook and the website in the description, and people can go find out things there. Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Joe.
It's been my pleasure. It's been fun.
Thanks so much.
All right. Absolutely. Thanks.
See you guys.